Welcome, everybody, to the Water and Sewer Utility Committee meeting for August 17th, 2023. Our agenda is ahead of you there on your tablets. I'll call the meeting to order, and could I get approval of the agenda? Approval by Councilor Matart, second by Councilor Ramsey. Any declarations of conflict of interest? Seeing none. We'll move around to the adoption of the minutes from Thursday, July 13th. Any questions or concerns about those minutes? No, seeing none from Councillor Matard and Councillor Ramsey. That's great. No business arising from the minutes. The mayor has joined us now. Thank you very much for attending our meeting. It certainly makes our day. Yep. Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm sure he does. We'll go into reports from the manager, Mr. Richard McEwen. If you could start us off on A, please.
Yes, thank you. So the first report is with respect to our annual inventory needs. So each year, the utility puts out a tender to purchase the pipes and valves and fittings that we use to maintain our water and sewer system. So this year, we received one response to the tender call from Campbell's Concrete in the amount of $115,460.70. And that is within the amount that we have budgeted for this within our operational budget. So I'd recommend that we forward a resolution to council in support of this tender.
Well, thank you, Manager McEwen. Any questions on that? Nobody? Okay, we'll move that ahead for council's consideration. And Councillor Matart will move it and Councillor Ramsey second it. That'd be great. And now we'll jump down to B, the digester.
Yeah, so at the Charlottetown Pollution Control Plant, we're looking to do maintenance on our digesters. We put out a tender, only one response, and the tender response came back at about twice what we had budgeted for this year's work. So we want to work with the contractor to reduce the scope and see if there are cost-saving measures that we can find to complete the work. Really want to focus on the primary digester this year, try to get that completed within the budgeted $1 million. And then next year revisit whether or not we will do a similar project for the secondary digester. So looking for approval from the committee to bring forward a resolution where we will look to do what we can within the budgeted $1 million for this project this year.
Well, thank you for that, Richard. That's a great idea if we can spread it over 2 budget years. Any questions on that, Councillor Matard?
I do, Mr. Chair. And maybe it was just addressed at the end, but is the idea then to accept the bid based on our $1 million budget as opposed to identifying it into a contractual obligation of $2 million, then having to go into 24, 25, looking to increase the budget by $1 million to cover those additional costs in year 2?
Okay, I'll ask the manager to answer that one, please.
Yeah, so right now we're working with the contractor trying to find ways to reduce the cost of the project, and there's a couple of ways to do that. First is only doing half of the work, only going into the one primary digester, and then revisiting what we do with the secondary next year. The intent right now is not to enter into a contract with them for $2 million, but we're working with the contractor now to see what that agreement would look like. What I'm looking for is kind of approval to move forward with trying to accomplish an upset budget of $1 million this year with the contractor to get as much done as we can. And looking at the timing on it as well, we're getting into the year, and this is work that needs to be completed before winter. So trying to find a way that I can work with the contractor with council's approval to do as much as we can this year, but not spending more than the $1 million this year. So depending on how things go, we will revisit it in the next budget year to see how much we need to spend or what we're looking to spend next year.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Just further to that, I guess I'm a bit concerned, we're saying we want to take our million and see what we can get done in this year. What would that equate to, I guess, in the value of, what if we only got very minimal amount of work done that really didn't complete what you needed to get done? I'm concerned about that.
Yeah, so what we need to get completed is ideally is the primary digester. So should be about half of the work, but also with this contract, we don't actually know what the value or amount will be until we get into the digester and do the cleaning, because it's based on the amount of material that we find in the digester. So I may be back talking to you about some contingencies or differences once we actually get in there, but our estimates are that it's 2 digesters, 2 large tanks going in and doing cleaning, and based on our past experience, we're hoping that we can get that primary digester done with the $1 million.
Thank you. Councillor Matart. Do you have a question, Councillor Ramsey?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Richard. I think Councilor Matart just asked that question, the second one there, and I'm just wondering, are we going to be satisfied with the $1 million work that's done so far this year, that, we're not going to sort of run into trouble if we don't go with a full contract? Thank you.
Again, looking to find ways to reduce the cost, and even with the timing of it, it might be a stretch for us to get both digesters completed. There is the possibility of looking to award at the full value, but I struggle a little bit with the full value and rather see us work towards some cost-saving measures. And if the contractor knows that we only have $1 million to spend this year, it gives us a little bit of work we need to do with the contractor to manage that budgeted amount.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is this very specific, a contract this magnitude, and we're not getting other bids? Is it very technical, Richard? Could you just touch on that for a second?
Yes, so it is removing sludge from digesters, and there aren't a lot of contractors who have the trucking and capacity to do it and the knowledge and experience in doing it.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, that's what I wanted to follow up on, because you're a person of tendering. So GFL is the same group that took over Superior Sanitation, correct, Richard? This is not the first time we've cleaned out the digester. I'm sure that Richard could explain that the digester is a unique piece of equipment, and that requires, especially in working with that equipment and also extracting the sludge and any other waste. So is there, like Myers from down east, do not do this sludge type of work? Is it just GFL? Like it looks like you're just sole tendering or sole searching right now. Is that correct?
Absolutely not. This was posted on our website, and we invited everybody to bid. We beat bushes. We tried to get as many people interested in this and get them bidding. We want to see more than one bid. And this was posted on our website, multiple additions to the length of time trying to get more and more contractors bidding this work. Certainly not sole source. This was open to the world to bid on.
So GFL was the only one that submitted a bid,
Correct.
and you've left it up, and you left it up on your website for a couple of months.
Would have been more than a month. So the minimum time, but we extended it 2 or 3 times to try and get bids.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chair, just as a follow-up, it's safe to say that this GFL or Superior Sanitation has been the only contractor bidding on this in the past.
That would not be correct.
Okay, so could you give me a name of another contractor that bidded on this the last time? Because do we do this on a yearly basis, or is it on a continual basis?
About every 7 years.
Okay, so 7 years ago, you had, would you remember, 3 bidders, 4 bidders? Are they now gone?
We had 2 bidders 7 years ago.
Okay. And was one Myers, or was it off island?
There's Williams, Murphy, McLeod, and Black and McDonald.
Black and McDonald, not Superior.
No, but So Superior, part of their network now owns what used to be Atlantic Industrial Cleaners, and they were the contractor that completed the work 14 years ago.
Okay. And this, again, this is over a 2-year period? Is that what I'm understanding, Mr. Chair? A million now and million next year? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
well, the tender, we were hoping to get more work for the money, but the one person that came in on this contract, it was double the money, right? So our manager's taking it back and trying to work with the contractor to see, okay, can we claw back a little bit of this work, and what do we need to do? We only have a certain amount in the budget, which is financially prudent to try to hold on to. And what is kind of the emergency type of work we can get done for this year, and then maybe work into next year on another budget year to see if we can get it all completed. I mean, it's been doing this work for 7 years, I think the manager has said before, so I'm sure there's a lot of stuff piled up.
Yeah, yeah. I believe it's every 7 years that we have to do this. Is that correct, Richard, if you look at the past history?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So, and is it over a 1 year, 2 period when we did it in the past, or was it 6 months?
Ideally, we try to do both digesters in one season, but we're already well into the season. Ideally, you start this in May, but we had challenges finding a contractor to bid the work. And we're now near the end of summer where we can hopefully get one digester done, because it is managing a sludge, so the sludge can freeze, and our digesters, we don't want to be taking them down in the winter. We need the gas production. It's work that we typically would try and do one of the digesters in late spring and then the other in early fall.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, no, again, the sludge is something that has to be done. It has to be, whether it's 2 million or 3 million, we have to do it because of environmental reasons. So we can, we can SHIT all around about this whole issue. Yeah, I think we just have to make the decision and move on.
Well, I think, I think it's great. We're going to go ahead with this.
Yeah.
See what the biggest bang we can get for our buck, and then hopefully next summer we'll get at it again. Go ahead, Councillor Matar.
No, I think we accept we keep going on the terms of our $1 million budget and see what we get, and then assess along the way to determine if we need to increase that based on the amount of work and effort it took to get to where Richard's satisfied with it.
And Mr. Chair.
I'm not sure we're approving 2 million now instead of 1.
No.
We don't even have the budget for that.
No, but these issues you have to belly up and pay the
100%.
pay the fiddler.
We
Is
need to
this
do the same with
operational or
policing
is this
services,
capital?
It is in our capital budget. We'll make improvements. There are some minor repairs and improvements that we'll need to do to the digester, and it is a significant expenditure. There was a past, before we did upgrades at the plant, we did more frequent cleanouts of the digesters, and that was operational, but with the magnitude of this work, we'd like to capitalize it.
Thank you, Mr. McEwen. Any other questions, Mayor Brown? We're good?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right, I think we have a recommendation to move ahead. Councillor Ramsey, seconded by Councillor Matart. We'll just keep going, Richard. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, what's our third one? Capital projects? Capital projects update, Richard.
Sure. So Eastern Gateway is out to tender now for Phase 2. Phase 1 has been completed, so that's a new water main along Riverside Drive. Passmore Street reconstruction, the water and sewer piece to it has been completed, so next we moved on to the public works portions, the stormwater, and then the street resurfacing. There's still some ongoing smaller capital projects at the pollution control plant. Then our digester work, we just passed, or moving forward with that work. Manawatu Road Booster Station, also in progress. Seaview Boulevard reconstruction, the tender closed yesterday, so we are reviewing that at this time. sewer lift stations, completing work on those. Malpec Station, still pulling together a tender, looking at the roof work to be done at Malpec Station, and communications project, still making progress there, getting things installed. So the tower is up, the antenna is connected, and we have the wires run into the building. So the next piece to it is connecting the radio equipment and doing tests on it to make sure that it's going to work for us.
Well, that's great. Thank you for that. And I'm sure the mayor's happy. We're moving ahead. Things are going well. Councilor Ramsey, you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Seaview Boulevard, you said the tender just closed yesterday. So would you have a time limit or time frame of when everything's going to be moving in there so the residents in my ward will know how much sort of disruption there's going to be?
So the tender just closed yesterday, so we need to review it and review what the tender response was in comparison to the budget available and determine when that work may or may not take place.
Okay, thank you.
I just had a question on the Mount Edward Road station there, Richard. I think a lot of public works equipment is there. Since the new opening of the building, will we be cleaning that area up or moving some of that equipment? Would that be on the agenda for that?
That is my understanding, that there is some storage taking place there now, and as we get things resolved with the new building, we'll look to reduce the amount of storage that is taking place there.
Perfect, thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, is that operational? That area? Was that a tank or was it reservoir? What was there on Mount Edward Road that he's referring to?
So the Mount Edward Road booster station, we have our two reservoirs that feed downtown Charlottetown are located there, as well as the original booster station. So we now have a new booster station. We're refurbishing the Sherwood booster station. Should we ever get in trouble with the Milton Vale booster station, Sherwood booster station is there. And it is available for operation at this time, but we're upgrading the equipment so that it will continue to be available into the future.
So could I just quickly follow up on that, Mr.
No
Chair?
problem. I know Sherwood's always been good to the city downtown, so it's great to see that fixed up there.
Water
Richard,
flows
thank you.
downhill.
Oh, yes, it's
It's at
great.
the top of the hill.
Go
So-
ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Just looking at our communications upgrades that you alluded to earlier, I see the towers going up. Richard, the change order is at 425. Is that a new one, or is that just to balance out what you already gave to us last month, or?
Yep, that's the change order that I provided to you at shortly after last meeting, after your request.
Right. And Mr. Chair, under another committee, I don't know if you were listening yesterday or the day before, Public Works, some of our projects where we are installing ATPs, active transportation pathways. One in particular is hopefully on the green space between Brighton Road and Terry Fox Drive. I know the former property manager from the province has asked repeatedly for the as-built drawings for the fiber op that's running under the existing, I call it the cow path that's there. So I have not received, or I don't know, maybe you did, Chair, or maybe the manager received the as-built drawings, but for the fiber op that we've installed. Have you received it, Richard, or Mr. Manager?
We have the GIS information for where that is.
Yeah, but the GIS is not as, who's going to stamp it? You? The GIS? Like, the as-built will show someone that here are the lines for our fiber optic. Like, I don't know what's holding us up in getting that, because they need to see that in order for us to proceed to the next step to request for the property. Request that property to extend or build an active transportation pathway across that green space.
Thank you. And I've been in discussions with the manager of Parks and Rec on it. And when the time comes, we'll look at a survey to meet the province's requirements.
We will, or will we depend on the vendor to provide it? Are we doing the as-built drawings, or will the vendor, or
So there's a different, my understanding from the province, they're looking for a survey anytime there's going to be a trail established or to note where the fiber optic line is. So we'd have a surveyor complete that to meet the requirement to establish the easement.
Okay, so just to clarify, again, we're not getting as-built drawings for the fiber optic that has been installed. That's what you're saying?
We will get record drawings for where the infrastructure is installed.
Record means GIS or as-built drawings stamped by a PNG?
Well, it'd be an as-built record approved by an engineer, and right now, at this point in time, we have the geographical information files for it, which
Yeah.
is what we put into our system. We take as-built records and put those into our GIS.
Right. I understand the GIS, it's just, I've been asking for the as-built drawings stamped by a PNG. So they will be forthcoming. We can put that on the record tonight or today?
No, so we will have record information for where the infrastructure is that meets our needs, but for the trail, my understanding from the province is they would look for a survey to note where the trail is, and in that survey, we will include where the communications line is.
So we do know, Mr. Chair, that the fiber optic cable runs along our Confederation Trail. We know that. So, and then where I'm asking for is just a short piece between Brighton Road and Terry Fox. So will there be as-built drawings for the trail, the Confederation Trail, or are we just relying on GIS?
So again, we'll have a record of where it is, and the level of detail will be sufficient to meet whatever requirements are in place.
Which is the GIS?
It can be a GIS, or that GIS information we could turn into an as-built piece of information.
Again, I find it difficult that we just keep bouncing this back and forth like a ping pong game. What is the issue of getting the as-built drawings? Stamped by yourself or stamped by an engineer from WM&M? I think relying just on GIS is not sufficient.
It's not just relying on GIS. I mean, we want to know where it is, and the medium that we use to understand where the infrastructure is can be different to meet the needs of the project and understand where the infrastructure is in the future. Not every piece of infrastructure in the province of PEI is presented with an as-built drawing or as-built stamped engineering drawing. And into the future, we bring this information into something like the GIS so that it's more user-friendly for us. Right now, we take all of the as-built drawings and convert those into information for our GIS.
No, I understand that, but you still have the paper copy of the as-built drawing stamped by a PNG. Richard, I understand that not all of the infrastructure, like TELUS, Bella Line, MECL, is tracked by as-built drawings. But this is our infrastructure, and I see this critical as a path forward on what we can provide for businesses and residents in connecting to our fiber op. So I've been asking for 2 years for the as-built drawings, and it's just the same answer. I really would like to get the as-built drawings for the short term, for that green space across in Brighton Road to Terry Fox Drive, because I think we're going to try to be working with Public Works and Parks and Recreation to get this pathway built. So can we get a commitment on getting those drawings?
But I understand, Mr. Mayor, if I'm just jumping in here, but if there's a standard, and the GIS is the standard that the province and the governing body is allowing this, why would we be going extra? Like, I know you were really into this, but again, if there's a standard that, the governing body, whoever it is, says that the GIS system is acceptable, why are we pushing for more?
Because the province, when I was asking about the pathway between Brighton Road and Terry Fox Drive, is they want as-built drawings. And I'm told, I brought it up here in this committee, sir, about a year ago, and we're still talking about GIS. So for the short term, I'm asking for the as-built drawings for that green space from Brighton Road to Terry Fox Drive. That's it. That's the start. We need that. That's,
But if we're allowed to proceed with the active transportation pathway with GIS technology.
they said no. I was told no. They want as-built drawings.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave it again with the manager, and if I have to come back to it again, I'll come back to it again, because this will be just a continual
You're
conversation.
more than welcome to come back and
I
ask.
really appreciate that, sir.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
We'll put it on for next month.
Oh, no, it'll be on capital projects.
Okay. So we're still going to look into this as what we need and what we should have and what we want by the mayor? No problem. Any other questions, councilors? Anything else to say, Mr. McEwen? You'd like to?
No, thank you.
That'd be great. All right, so that pretty well leaves us to the end of the meeting here. Any introduction, new business? We don't have any new business on the table. Well, we're not in a rush. Okay, we'll have a motion to adjourn moved by Mayor Brown, second by Councilor Ramsey and Matters. Well, thank you, everyone, for coming. It's been a pleasure. And that concludes the meeting.